Hello and welcome to the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Verse. In this episode, we're going to be going over the Magnus system, showing off its location within the star map, briefly going over its 3 planets, and using its history to prove that UEE politics exudes the same odor as a Vandal's loincloth. I'd like to begin by taking a look at its position on the star map, and its relation to the surrounding systems. If you look here, you'll see that Magnus forms 1/3 of a triangle of jump points that runs between itself, Stanton, and Terra. If you turn off all other jump points, leaving just the large ones visible, you'll see that Magnus is right in the heart of a major cargo run which exists between Sol and Terra. This is a highly traveled trade route that's connected entirely by a system of large jump points, and it's used for transporting massive amounts of cargo on a regular basis. You'd think that because of this, Magnus would be a lot more economically sound than it is. But instead, despite all of this, Magnus has developed a reputation for being a dangerous frontier system. Its official slogan is Magnus on the edge of the unknown, even though it's located in between 2 of the most important systems in the UEE. It does have several more unofficial slogans that are much more colorful in nature, most of which decorum prevents me from repeating at this time. It was first discovered in 2499, and although none of the 3 planets located in this system were immediately habitable, the government still decided to hold on to it, mainly because of its strategic location, resource content, and potential to be terraformed. Magnus 1 is a small rocky planet that's devoid of an atmosphere, but it holds a vast amount of valuable minerals. Magnus 3 is a super Jupiter that's known for its beautiful multicolored atmosphere, and is also rumored to be the hiding spot for a massive pirate outpost, where huge numbers of them congregate and launch raiding parties from. This, of course, is just a rumor, and like most rumors, tends to get more exaggerated with every passing day. When talking about the history of Magnus, what you're really going to be talking about is Magnus 2, which is better known as Borea, and has always been the lifeblood and center of activity for this system. Borea didn't have any indigenous life when they discovered it, but it still had the potential to be terraformed. It's a terrestrial rocky planet that supports a number of different climates within it. The UPE began the terraforming process in 2533 and designated it as a military classified system. This means that only those with proper clearance from the military were allowed to enter it. And as soon as it was habitable, the UPE began importing people and had soon turned it into the central shipyard for the Navy, creating an economic boom for the system that lasted nearly half of a century, while ships were being produced and more people were being imported to support the process. It had also become the birthplace of Kruger Intergalactic, which started out as a customs part shop that specialized in making specific components for larger manufacturers. The end of the First Tavaran War and the rise of the Messer regime was responsible for many changes within the Empire, including moving ship manufacturing away from Borea and into the Killian system. This change had single-handedly killed the economy for Borea, and by extension, the rest of the Magnus system as well. People had started to flee the system in droves after this move. As the ship manufacturers moved out, Kruger Intergalactic filled in the void that they had left behind by buying up their abandoned shipyards, land, and state-of-the-art equipment, all at an incredibly cheap price. They also had their pick of highly skilled labor to choose from. As the economy suffered, Kruger prospered in the wake of this economic turmoil. In 2751, the military decided to rescind the military classification system for Magnus, allowing all citizens of the UEE to come and settle in this area for the first time since it was discovered. The lack of a stable economy and large influx of people had forced a majority of them to turn to more creative methods for generating revenue. This rise of criminal activity and piracy within the sector became an increasing problem for Kruger Intergalactic, who ended up spending a majority of their budget on security and protection as time went on. Eventually, this situation had come to a boiling point after a vital shipment which was intended for RSI was hijacked. This had caused a major disruption to RSI's production supply chain, and it created such a ripple of cascading problems that it eventually resulted in Kruger pulling out of the system entirely. From out of the ashes that Kruger left behind came a small company called Drake Interplanetary, whose intention was to create a highly modifiable and modular ship that's easy to repair and cheap to make that they could sell to the military. That ship was the Cutlass. The military had decided to pass on the Cutlass, so Drake decided to redirect their attention towards the civilian market. Drake's success had helped to stabilize the system somewhat, but this area is still far from safe. Just recently, there was an assassination attempt on the Governor's Council in Newcastle, which is Boria's capital. And since then, all space-bound traffic has been redirected to Odessa, the place where Kruger Intergalactic and Drake Interplanetary's main headquarters are located. Well, that's going to be it for this overview of the Magnus system's history, its planets, and its relevance to the UEE and surrounding systems. This is Law of the West, reminding you that it's a tough universe out there, so don't panic, and always remember to bring a towel.